Napoli against Barcelona. So many subplots going into this game, certainly pertaining to both of the coaches. We know that Xavi will be leaving at the end of the season. Meanwhile, Mazzari's gone. Calzona is coming in for this tie. Gab, this is quite a dramatic turn, isn't it, ahead of such a big game?
Everything's dramatic. It's not dramatic that Walter Mazzari, the master of disaster, is gone. He was a terrible appointment. He's not a good manager. He was totally wrong for this team. And I'm surprised he stuck around as long as he did. But to go and get rid of him sort of in the 48 hours before such a huge game against Barcelona, where despite the fact that you're ninth in the league, you know, you have a legit shot. Barcelona obviously are wounded. They have injuries, that they've got their own issues to contend with. To do it in that position and then to bring in this guy who, you know, I think genuinely most people really had never heard. He'd never even been on their radar until suddenly he just appears in Slovakia, mainly because he's friends with former Napoli legend Marek Hamsik, who he coached with his time in Naples. And Hamsik said, hey, we just fired our coach. Why don't you come in and see if you can get us to the Euros? And these days, because as Craig would point out, everybody seems to qualify for the Euros. Slovakia get a couple wins under their belt, big win against Iceland, and boom, they're in the Euros. And all of a sudden, this guy's back on people's radar, and Napoli will share him with Slovakia between now and the Euros, which seems absolutely surreal to me. But, you know, he knows the club, he knows the city, he knows a lot of the players from his time with Sarri. I would expect they're going to say, hey, can you just wind back the clock to the Spalletti era? Because let's not forget, guys, this is the same team as last year, with the exception of Min-Jae Kim, who, of course, went to Bayern, and Zielinski, who's not in the Champions League squad because of one of those stupid decisions that Aurelio De Laurentiis, the president, likes to make. He's a free agent in June. He hasn't extended his contract, so he says, fine then, well, I'm not going to put you in the Champions League squad, so you don't get to play against Barcelona. Other than that, it's the same crew as last year, plus the new signings.
Solskjaer was available.
There you go.
Well, he got linked with,
with Bayern Munich yesterday.
Bayern, yeah. And a little shout for interim Bayern job. It floated about yesterday.
Yeah, there we go.
Could have jumped. Listen, I don't know how many times over the last 10, 15 years you could say this is a pretty good time to play Barcelona.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I know Napoli are clearly having their own issues, both on and off the field. But let me tell you, we cover La Liga every week, and they are the most fragile of fragile. They have been defensively so poor this year. In the midfield, they have been all over the place. And up front, occasionally it clicks. Occasionally. They are nothing to fear. Barcelona, that is. Absolutely nothing to fear. And it would not surprise me if Napoli could at least take a lead back to the Montjuic. But it depends how Napoli view this game and how they can get at this Barca side, because almost every team in La Liga, you know, Villarreal go there, score 5. Granada, second bottom, go there, score 3. This team are vulnerable, and if Napoli can get at them, we'll see that vulnerability again.
Mediocre, and when I say mediocre, I mean mediocre teams offensively in La Liga, right, have scored against Barcelona. Craig just mentioned a couple, but we can go down the list, and the list is heavy. Anybody who plays against Barcelona will have opportunities to score, and more than likely will score goals. Now it's just a statement of fact. It's not even an opinion. It's you just look at how they play defensively. They're going to make mistakes. If you have any sort of talent going forward, just a glimmer of hope going forward, there will be chances for you. Napoli has more than that going forward. I imagine that Napoli looks at the back line and the defensive structure of Barcelona, if you want to call it structure or lack thereof. We can attack this team. I don't care how terrible we have been. They're worse. Defensively, they are worse.
So having said that, you're predicting then Napoli to go through? Let's take a look at the predictions.
Absolutely not.
Let's take a look.
Absolutely not.
Sets. After that lecture about how vulnerable Barcelona are at the back. Going for a draw at Barcelona. Everyone's going for a draw. And Barcelona to advance.
Yeah, well, you know, can't trust any of them. Expect.
Well, because we talk
Osimhen's not playing. See?
There you are.
We talk about consistency and continuity coming into big matches and having built confidence and so on and so forth. Well, how do you do that if you're Napoli when this guy's just walking in the door? I don't understand exactly about the timing of making this change. I don't think it suits the situation. I imagine.
Who knows? It might do an Ivory Coast.
Well, maybe. Maybe that's what we're going for here. If it's Napoli, I don't quite think that that's the case because Napoli have their issues as well.
Last word on this to you, Gab.
No, it's funny you say it worked for Ivory Coast. Look, it worked for Slovakia, too. They literally found this guy on the street, made a phone call, and he turned it around for them. So he clearly is the miracle man, and that's what they're hoping for. And, you know, they've got they have Osimhen back. They have Kvaratskhelia back. Why not? But, yeah, your head tells you, guys, for all the issues Barcelona have, they're third in La Liga. Napoli are ninth in Serie A. And I think 9 is behind 3. That said, who knows, man? It's a wacky world that Napoli live in.